You can call us late, just don't call us late for dinner. Hey guys, Uncle V here. It's Friday. What is it? The date, I think it's 9/3. And we're excited to have you here because I have Max with me, and Yoga may join us too. But you know, we meet here every day, every week at noon sharp. It's 1:15 sharp. Sorry about that, but that's what happens. So we meet every Friday at noon-ish. How about that? But this is the reason why we didn't start on time is because we basically had a volunteer meeting to where there's so many good things that are happening that we're going to give you a little bit of insight today. But we wanted to cover all of that so to make sure we brought you up to date the best way possible. So we're just going to jump right in. Max, you want to say hello to everyone?
It's an epic day.
Oh, am I still screen sharing?
Oh, I actually liked it. I was tripping out here as you were talking. That's pretty funny. Entertaining. We should do that every time.
I don't even know what I did, but how in the heck did that? That's kind of wild. That's kind of wild how that. Well, hey, we stumbled upon something new. You know, at one point in time, someone walking around with a chocolate bar tripped and then fell into peanut butter, and Reese's was born, or at least that's the marketing. So anyway, Max, great to have you on. What a week this has been, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. You know that meme where the kid is going along with his bike and then he has a stick put through the spokes and then he's holding his knee. That's what happened to Epic. We just had so much momentum. In March, we have started releasing the first batches of the ECR token, and we're increasingly removing the barriers that will release the flood of those to everyone. And so what we're doing now, we intended to have done back in March, and it was really a breakout moment for us. And then of course the value overflow incident cost us quite a bit of time, but really it cost us momentum. That which is in motion tends to stay in motion. And the bigger these cryptocurrency networks get, the bigger they can get as they kind of unlock different different levels. So it's a really exciting time. There's a lot going on. It reminds me of, I have an uncle who's a military history buff, and he showed me this history channel video one time of this automated artillery that fires the shells in a certain way where it basically fires 5 of them at different angles and then they all land at the same time. And that feels kind of like what's going on now is there's all these different things happening that are all very significant in their own way. But there's kind of like bottlenecks and blockers all over, like V3 or not being top rank 500 so that Indonesian exchanges can list us, and all these little things that kind of it'll seem like, wow, where did those guys come out of nowhere and started making all these moves? No, we've been working hard for literally years. Epic just turned 2. I've been involved for over 3. Spencer is 2.5 years, Yoga 2 years. So we've got a lot of tenure. There's a lot of momentum and strength building. We've got the infrastructure in place that enable people that are new to the project to come in and make a difference and contribute. So it's like the root system being established is enabling a lot of nutrients to be pulled in from the soil and end up in a lot of healthy leaves. So it's a wonderful time.
And by the way, yesterday, 9/2/21 was Epic Cash's 2nd birthday. So happy birthday, Max. That's fantastic. And I would like to go on record to say today, 9/3, Epic Cash is 30 cents. If you want to figure out how to buy it, just go down. I'm sorry, 30 cents. If you want to figure out how to buy it, go down. There's a video there that says why I like Epic Cash and how to buy it. And after watching this today, if you don't hold any, you're going to want to just clear your afternoon and go do that. And we're going to tell you why. It's going to be good to be an Epic Cash holder. So darn excited about all of this. I just want to share my screen, Max, and just jump into it if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
We just launched epic.tech. That's all you need to know to begin is go to epic.tech. Keep it in your notes. If somebody's curious about Epic, if you want to update them, if you want to become educated yourself, just go right here. Looks like this. There we go. Let me get out of this. It is being live streamed. So we're at epic.tech up here. And this is Epic Cash. This is a very clean website. Max, can you please, I know you've given it to me before, but there's that Steve Jobs quote that I love that you've shared about difficult and easy.
Sure. So if we're going to tip our hats to legendary, talented people, we should also include Mr. Diego Salazar, aka Rayrar, as his handle on Telegram in this list. He's the artist who created this particular piece of work, and his fingerprints have been increasingly all over our world for quite some time. He keeps a low profile, but credit is due there for this and many other things that have been in gestation for quite some time. He actually did mention that he'd be willing to come on and explain some of the things that he's been working on in a
Next
future
Friday.
show. Is that next Friday? Wonderful. Wow. Yeah. So hat tip to Diego. The quote is that it's hard to make something. It's easy to make something that is hard to use. It is hard to make something that's easy to use. And so that's why the iPhone has one button. The iPod had with that single button plus the scroll wheel versus the competitor that had a lot of better specs and was cheaper at the time, the Microsoft Zune. The simplicity and what that enabled the experience to be for users change their relationship of people with music and with Apple because of that simplicity. Being steeped in Silicon Valley, not just myself, but also Yoga Dude, we bring a lot of that same insight to our work.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the bottom line is this is a very clean, simple site that is just jam-packed full of knowledge. So Epic Cash, decentralized privacy enhanced cryptocurrency developed by a growing volunteer community. Now that's going to change, but I want to just kind of give you a little bit of inside baseball. The way that it works when you get involved with a community like Epic Cash, which if you go to t.me/Epic Cash on our Telegram, that's where you can get involved. Go there, join there, and then it kind of goes off into other directions based upon what your interests are. If you're interested in mining, you can go to Epic Cash Mining, etc. So for example, I have a marketing background, and I look at this and I'm like, my eye thinks that this decentralized privacy enhanced cryptocurrency, that should be white. It would just be easier on my eyes. Max agreed. We'll go in there, make the suggestion, and if the group agrees, then guess what? Changes are updated. So even a guy like me that has had nothing to do with the design and development of this website can have an opinion and be able to offer it, and if it makes sense. So that means you. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You can get involved too. Come join the community. It is awesome. Let's continue down. So look at this. Here's so over here, it's going to be white as well, but just so simple. Epic Cash, no pre-mine, no ICO, no corporation, no executives, no venture capital, no government affiliation, no physical presence. It's scarce, fungible, censorship resistant, centralization resistant, mining, accessible mining here. Representing a genuine breakthrough in the state of art in proof of work. Freeman multi-algorithm proof of work dynamically allocates block rewards according to a governance specified flexible modular cipher policy. Say that 10 times real fast after 3 beers. Currently, 60% of block rewards accrue to CPU on RandomX, 38% to GPU on ProgPow, and 2% to ASIC on Cuckoo. Is that how it said 31 plus? Difficulty adjusts for each hardware type individually every 2 hours, not 2 weeks like BTC. So those of you who are into mining, that should be of interest. And I will let you know, there's going to be a point one day when we're all mining Epic Cash on our mobile phones. The blockchain, it is fast. It is lightweight, cost effective, and scalable. So it has less than a 2 gigabyte, what would you call that? A block. Is that right, Max?
So that is the amount of disk storage space that the chain file, the entire system, can be represented in 2 gigabytes. By contrast, in BTC, it's about 400 gigabytes. Ethereum is 8 terabytes. So yeah, and that has a lot of profound implications. Again, that single button for the iPod, in terms of the design of how people create applications on top of it, and how they integrate their business workflows into it, means that you can validate the entire state of the network locally and not have to trust anybody.
So back the bus up, back the bus up for me, because I am obviously a little slow up the on-ramp. Are you telling me that the entire Epic Cash blockchain is less than 2 gigabytes? The entire
1.6.
Jeez. Okay, now I get it. So like with Monero, when you're talking about their blockchain is how big?
100.
It's 100 gigabytes. Okay. And when you send a transaction on Monero, it's, I guess where I'm still a little confused is a transaction with Epic Cash. Basically, that transaction contains no data, but with Monero, walk me through that.
Yeah. So it gets quite technical, but essentially, looking at things on an apples to apples basis, the footprint of the system, as it were, to be able to locally verify the system yourself, that requires 2 gigs of storage space in Epic, and that same operation is 100 gigs in Monero. And so that means if you've got a budget smartphone that only has 12 gigs of storage space or something, you can fit the Epic chain file. You cannot fit the Monero file. And so when you cannot validate locally, you have to get that data from somewhere. You have to connect to a node remotely if you're not running your own node. And so let's say you're in a region where the traffic is blocked and it's hard to find a node. It's a point of accessibility being reduced. Also, you're trusting that the node you're connecting to is representing the state of the chain faithfully. Most of the time, they probably are. So people don't even think about that as an issue. But let's say there's some kind of network split or contentious type of situation. Maybe the great firewall of somewhere forks off the network and there's a war or something that we can't imagine today. If you're validating locally, no problem. If your operating reality is predicated on connecting to others, then you have service interruptions. And so this seems arcane, but it's quite fundamental. Part of the reason that Ethereum goes down constantly, it's not Ethereum itself necessarily, but it's that because of that 8 terabyte chain file, there's other reasons, but that's one of them. Most of Ethereum runs on a service called Infura, and when it goes down, then so too do services that we rely on, and that exposes the centralized spot, the chink in the armor, as it were. If you have a system, it comes down to downtime. If you're running the up-to-date chain file and you're doing a local node, the system for you never ever goes down. BTC at the network level has never had downtime in over a decade. There's no system on the planet, I think, that has even come close. It had its value overflow incident back in 2010. Epic had its in 2021. But essentially, users can expect not 99 point however many nines of uptime. They can expect 100% of uptime in our structure. And so over time, that perhaps is a distinction without a difference today, but over time, you're going to have to bake in outages in these other networks, and they'll continue to happen, whereas ours will keep chugging along.
That's amazing. That's awesome. All right. So compliance. Epic is compliant with the current and future regulations. Users interact directly with the blockchain. No custodial intermediary or third-party trusted node required. Fair launched without an ICO, pre-mine, or even team tokens. The protocol sets a new bar for how we test safety, reducing risks and uncertainties for developers and entrepreneurs. And I'm telling you, this page, I think, is probably the most undervalued page of them all. And I'd like you to unpack it a little bit because, you know, you wouldn't want 5 years today to build this sucker to where, you know, our Epic coins are valued at $250,000 a coin or 500 or whatever, you know, and then have an issue like Ripple did with XRP to where all of a sudden the SEC comes to knocking, right?
That's really what it's all about. So this past year, we'll go back from today chronologically in history. Ripple Inc., the company behind the XRP token, woke up one day after, I think it was what, 7, 8 years in business, something like that. They woke up one day and they went from being a top 10, top 3, whatever coin, and discovered that the SEC said that their business was illegal. They intended to shut them down, take every cent they own and throw them in jail for the rest of their lives. And so as a result, about half of the exchanges on the planet instantly delisted them. And of course, the price tanked. Imagine you had a transaction in motion. All of a sudden, your $100,000 interbank transfer, because that's what their network is for, is now a $50,000 transaction. What do? That's kind of a problem. And what's worse is it's not a one-time event, because if that can happen, then it can happen again. And so you've got this cloud, this sort of Damocles hanging over the head. And these matters are literally life and death for projects. Telegram raised 1.6 billion and eventually got forced to give the money back by the state of New York. EOS raised 4.1 billion and they ended up winning. They got away with a slap on the wrist of a $27 million fine. But in another situation, Kin raised $100 million and the SEC just completely killed them. I mean, it's what few dollars they have left are going to pay lawyers so that they stay out of prison, literally.
So I want to just focus. I want to focus on 4 words here, or even team tokens. I consider myself now part of the team, but it's not because you reached out to me and said, Uncle V, hey, we'd love for you to be a chief evangelist officer for Epic Cash. No, it's that I fell in love with the project. I appreciated everything that all the education you provided me, and it just evolved to where I'm part of the community. I'm a volunteer team member within the community, and there is no retroactive team tokens. Have you ever compensated me for anything? Hold on one second. Have you ever compensated me for anything that I have done for Epic Cash?
So that's an interesting point, because we've kind of been hamstrung for a couple of years because Bitcoin can't have a marketing department, therefore Epic can't either. But ECR does have a team, it does have a budget, and you and others who contribute will be receiving tokens. If you are a member of the community and have been contributing or would like to, please reach out to me or any one of us that's an admin on one of the chats. And we deliberately didn't put any team tokens or financial reward for any of us that have been working on this for years at that level, because neutrality is so important. If there were an entrenched elite priesthood baked into the structure, like, not to throw anybody under the bus, but Zcash, as an example, has, I think, 20% of their block reward or something like that going to an actual company that is required to make the structure work. If they don't pay the bills of the marketing department, then marketing is not guaranteed to happen necessarily. Here, Epic can have all the marketing, all the development, all the graphic design, all the websites, all the anything people want, because like you, they've done the math and said, it's worth it for me to put in some energy to help my $1,000 become worth more than $1,000, and it pencils out for me. So it's a more resilient type of structure.
That's the whole point here. Is two things I'd like to say about that, or even team tokens, because it really has taken me to a point of I'm newly educated to where it became very apparent of how blockchains are just a store of energy value. And so the way that you add energy to a blockchain is you develop it, you mine it, you buy it, the coin, and with what Yoga's created with epicfundme.com, you can even earn it. But when you're knee deep in this and you take a look at this and you say, man, the more energy I can put into this and the more I can evangelize so that people get the same aha moment that I have, is the more adoption that we're going to get. And that's just going to increase the value of the entire project. And when people see what we're going to continue to go through, it's going to be very, very impressive, because but by having or even team tokens, what do you get away from here, guys? What do you get away from when you have that built-in elite team that holds these free tokens, if you will, right? You are just setting yourself up for a pump and dump, a classic pump and dump, to where these people can, if they know that they're going to be put on an exchange somewhere, they can go put up a sell wall and put their coins up, and then FOMO prior to. Does all of this sound familiar with you guys? It should, if you watch this channel long enough. But that's what I love about this project. It is so freaking honest. It is fairly launched. It's honest in its development. And my involvement over the last, 6 months now, maybe. Yeah, I've had a lot of ankle biters out there that's like, when moon, I bought this at 50, it's now 30, and all of this. And so, and it's just like, for me, water off the back, like a duck's, because I see where we're going, and I hope you do too. But this is critical. Let's go to ecosystem. Epic,
well, hold on. Let's just wrap that up. So
yeah.
To state it clearly, the design of Epic in all those attributes that we mentioned there ensures that we will not wake up one day and face a very unpleasant surprise for not just the value, but for those of us who are a part of it. There's if you worked at Lehman Brothers when it collapsed, there's a reputational stain. A lot of people have been fleeing the ship of Binance lately as they face their troubles. There's consequences to that type of thing, and so reducing risk is a key part of creating value. And I think it bears repetition that part of why Epic is so hard to understand for people is that there literally hasn't been anything like it since BTC, even Ethereum.
BTC or Bitcoin?
Well, so back then there wasn't, they were one and the same. So you have to go back to as far as then to find a fair launch, proof of work, no pre-mine, no insta-mine, no accelerated emission, haha, we're in test net for the first week while we all go get some coins type of stuff. I mean, different times, different things were appropriate. But when we set out to do this, we were told in no uncertain terms, the plane isn't going to fly, the dog won't hunt, you're just not going to be able to do it. There's projects raising hundreds of millions, billions in VC. You cannot do a fair launch proof of work, no ICO, no pre-mine network. And if you do, how are the people involved gonna get paid? Because people can't work for free. And one way or another, just through sheer willpower, we were able to manifest and materialize something against all odds. And so I think that's I know it's unique, and I think it's also defensible. Epic has had 2 years to season. It'd be very difficult, if not impossible, to do anything comparable today, because the emission curve, we're about to go through our second halving. If you don't get the flight parameters perfectly right, you can have a catastrophic failure. Like when an O-ring on the Challenger shuttle has some failure, it's not just that subcomponent, the entire rocket ship ends up in a fireball. And the history of the industry is littered with projects that had 90+% of the right ingredients that ended up footnotes. And so it's really we don't get, you're right, we don't get enough recognition for those quiet strengths that are there, but that doesn't mean they're not there and that they won't continue to pay dividends over time, because we're really going into a much more stringent regulatory environment. We're starting to see projects like Uniswap actually proactively ring fence assets that are not in any question illegal, but they don't want to offend regulators because their business model depends on cozy relationships. Yeah, UMA and about a dozen, maybe a couple dozen other tokens about a month ago, they just arbitrarily got blacklisted off the Uniswap website. And so on the one hand, we've got decentralized, permissionless, trustless infrastructure, but wait, you kind of do need permission. Oh, that's interesting. And we really, like, we didn't get everything right. Our crystal ball was not perfect, but a lot of things we did get right. And one of them was anticipating this more stringent environment that really, I think we were.
What is a Howey test?
Right. So a Howey test is what the SEC does to determine if something is a security. The Supreme Court said we don't have a formal definition for pornography, but you just know it when you see it. In the case of the SEC, they have it more formalized, and the Howey test is 4 prongs to determine whether something is a security. The first one is an investment of money. Number 2, into a common enterprise. Number 3, with the expectation of profit. And number 4, here's the key one, due solely, underscore the word solely, to the efforts of others. And so if you unpack all of those different prongs individually, usually there's one or more things that projects can get hung up on. And I think we've been kind of lulled into a false sense of security in our nascent industry because there hasn't been a lot of enforcement of much except the really extreme and egregious cases. The actual frauds, the ones that were kind of iffy, there's something called the crypto rating card scorecard that we're in the process of releasing. The data points are on, it probably would be let's say within the next week or so, definitely this month, where there's thousands of different components to it that gets into a lot of detail, and we'll come up with the highest scores possible for both EPIC and ECR, which is really difficult to do. There's not a lot like that. Even Ether had an ICO.
This took some forward vision when you started all of this 3 years ago. That's what I applaud you. Okay, let's go to the next one. The ecosystem. EPIC is your key to the epicenter ecosystem. The epicenter ecosystem provides the solid. Hold on one second. I've got a dog downstairs barking. I hope you're not hearing all of this. The epicenter ecosystem provides the solid monetary platform that decentralized finance requires. Within this framework, anyone, anywhere can create secure, scalable, globally accessible financial services in a minute. Now, this is the bottom of the page of this very simple epic.tech. Learn more or discover more about Epic Cash takes you here, sports fans. epicenter.epic.tech. Private Bitcoin for the masses. BTC is not Bitcoin. BTC is a surveillance coin. Epic Cash is the original Bitcoin standard, updated with the revolutionary Mimblewimble privacy protocol, ensuring complete anonymity, scalability, and fungibility. Epic Cash, decentralized, confidential, hard money that can't be controlled or stopped. It's financial freedom for the masses. So, Max Freeman, why don't you take the opportunity now to talk about this ecosystem here? Epic Cash is right here. We've gone through what that is, but I see a couple other icons. Can you share with us what those are?
I would be delighted. So Epic is essentially original, uncut formula, undiluted Bitcoin. We think of it, there's a lot of alliteration, ECR. In this case, it stands for Enhanced Censorship Resistance Bitcoin. Same 21 million, but upgrades to certain things that make it more censorship resistant.
Is it on the same blockchain as Epic Cash?
What?
ECR, is it this?
No,
is it a different blockchain?
Yeah, so Epic is a coin that has its own blockchain.
Okay.
The 1.6 gigabyte Mimblewimble that we talked about earlier. ECR is at present, it's an ERC20 token that runs on Ethereum, and to save on gas, it's currently integrated with both Polygon and WAN chain layer 2s. And then the next layer 2 that's coming is XDAI. So it's right now about $55 to send an ERC20 transfer, which is too expensive for most people. So by plugging into these layer 2s, we're delivering some cost savings to people. So ECR is a token that starts its life on Ethereum, but pretty quickly will start connecting to these other blockchains. For example, Avalanche, Tezos, Clayton, Solana, Polkadot. Eventually, ECR ends up living on over 30 blockchains, the so-called Ethereum and its competitors. Give me one second here.
So ECR is a token.
Yes.
Epic Cash is a coin, which means it has its own blockchain. That would be considered layer
Correct.
1. ECR is a layer 2 token for us newbies.
Not exactly. So a coin is a native asset of a blockchain. It's basically the fuel of that network for paying transaction fees. And it's the monetary value of the Tezos blockchain, as an example, the $5 billion of market cap collectively that all those coins represent. You could think of it as that is the value of each token is 1 divided by however many exist of the overall market cap. I'm kind of butchering that, but one way to think of these blockchains is as financial batteries.
Okay. So ECR then, so I know Epic Cash, where I can buy it. It is on the Vite exchange, VTEX, they call it.
Right.
Again, if you want to buy it, it's down below. Why I like Epic Cash and how to buy it. Nobody has come back after watching that and said they couldn't. And then
VTEX, also Pancake Swap and Stellar X. So those links should also be in the link tree for those that prefer those. Sometimes those other markets might have better pricing if the markets move quickly. So it's always good to mention those as well.
You know, I think this is a nice opportunity, Max. I remember, you know, a guy with a dog, Chihuahua, Jeff Berwick, walking around talking about Pirate Chain and R. And it was when Pirate Chain was probably around where Epic is right now.
33 cents.
33 cents. And he was talking about how we're on one shit ass exchange and shitty exchange, he said. And not saying that Trade Ogre is a shitty exchange, or was it before he got on Trade Ogre? I can't remember if Trade Ogre was the exchange, but anyway, he said we're one exchange away from this just skyrocketing. Now, I don't know what happened after that, if they got on an exchange and but bottom line, it became easier to buy. So it must have been before Trade Ogre. Do you remember, or do you recall that?
I don't, but I remember it vividly. So Pirate went from what was it? It was either 30 cents or 50 cents, as depending on when you pick the liftoff point. But about 3-4 months ago, there was a 17-day period where Pirate went up from, let's call it 30-50 cents, our type of level, to $15. It took it was 50x in 17 days.
Okay, so hear that everyone, and Epic Cash, the use case for R, and I'm a pirate, is privacy. We love us some privacy. Epic Cash is a privacy coin. It is admittedly on the Vite exchange. You know, it's not the easy button. It's not hard. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not hard, but it's just not the easy button. But is it too soon, Max, for you to talk about this exchange that we're getting on that we're pretty excited about?
I think it's fair game, but let's keep talking about what we already have, the bird in the hand versus the one that's on the fence, because that's not signed yet. So let's just keep talking here real quick about what this is.
Okay.
So ECR, like what is Epic? What is ECR? ECR is an algorithmic central bank that will enable Epic holders to access spending power based on the value of their Epic holdings. So right now there's about, let's call it $5 million of value that we as Epic holders have, that if we want to access that to go buy something, we have to sell our coins. And it's even worse, because not just do we lose the future appreciation, but we also have to gross up our sales proceeds for taxes. So it's a double whammy. Now, dreaming in the future a little bit, as we have the different pieces in place, let's say I have $10,000 worth of Epic. If I want to go buy something for $5,000, initially we're going to set the system parameters very conservative. The ECR token governance is what enables the determination of these parameters. So let's say I have $10,000 worth of Epic. If I have ECR, here's the key. One of the use cases for ECR is that like the CRO token with crypto.com that enables you to get their different levels of services, ECR enables you to borrow in the form of EUSD stablecoins from yourself. You put your coins in a smart contract and then say, okay, my $10,000 worth of Epic are now collateral from the bank of Uncle V. I'm going to issue myself a no interest, no payments 5,000 EUSD loan to go and buy something, I give those coins to the merchant. They either keep them, sell them for fiat. They do whatever they want. You've got the ability to now go spend $5,000, and it's not costing you any interest. You pay it back whenever you want. You were gonna buy it anyway, and you would have to spend $7,000 or $8,000 worth of coins to pay the taxes to net out 5,000, and you lose your value of Epic as it hopefully continues to benefit from the dwindling emission and increased scarcity profile. So you're really having your cake and eating it too. The bigger Epic gets, the more spending power you can unlock with EUSD, and the key to make that work is ECR. I know there's a lot there, and I don't want to lose anybody. Any questions on that part?
All I know, based upon my inside baseball, just being part of the group of volunteers that you've been educating us on all this, is it is never going to, be a better time to acquire Epic Cash, and it's going to be really good in the future to be an Epic Cash holder, because there's going to be a couple of snapshots that I don't know if you're willing to go into those or not. I know I'm probably out of, I shouldn't be talking about this, but I'm just going to. It's good to be an Epic Cash holder. Right now, it's as low as it's ever going to be. When all of this stuff launches, and there's so many things that are just like here already. Go ahead, Max.
I know you want to spell it out for people, but there's a saying us OGs that have been around a while have, which is that everybody gets the Epic price they deserve. And so we've been putting out a lot of signals every week here on what we're doing. If people haven't seen what the substance of what we're doing yet, hell, we put out 124-page sneak peek draft of the white paper. This thing will end up being too heavy for my frail, weak self to carry. It'll hurt my shoulder trying to lift the thing. And we're there at 30 cents. There's a disconnect there, and in time it will resolve itself. But I think the question people need to ask themselves is it worth the extra hassle to acquire extra coins the hard way today by jumping through these hoops to learn new ways of transacting, or is it better to wait until it's on easier to use venues, and maybe you pay more, but it's a more convenient experience for you? I think people just need to do that calculus for themselves. So if you want to, we can talk about.
Well, look at this. You referenced it. I'm going to talk to you guys. Hello world. I don't know where people can find this, or if they can find it, or if you've released it to the world yet, but I know this is 124-page white paper that is your ECR investor paper. Look at the contents here: allocation, comparable analysis, distribution strategy and tactics, air grab and auction, faucets, emission, financial performance, farming, and LP incentives. So those of you hexicans out there that are familiar with farming and being able to, I don't know if it's called stake the coins or whatever, that's going to start coming into our ecosystem, and governance, partners, philanthropy, protocol inflation beneficiaries, regulatory compatibility, token allocation, the treasury for ECAP, blah, 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 transparency, team, vesting, assurance, bug bounty, EC. You've told me about EC. ECK, sorry, I need to stop doing that. Peer review, data, artwork and analytics, ease of use, ecosystem, EDX, E1, EUSD, emission, crypto, the SEX, DEX, fiat, goodies and services, privacy and anonymity protocols. I'm just going to keep going, guys. Bottom line, look at this. I'm going to lose people, and I'm still not there. it goes down to, it's 124 pages, guys. You show me another project out there that has all of this in its vision. May I repeat, it is good to be an Epic Cash holder now. Why I like Epic Cash and how to buy it is down below. I'm going to go on record today. It is 9/3/21. Let's see where we are a year from today. I'll put it in my calendar. So we're at 30 cents today. I can't wait to be back here a year from now, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to get this clip. I'm going to find this exact clip. I'm going to wave my hand because that's my signal to myself that I need to go into that point of the video when I'm doing my cigar walks and insert something. So let's see where it is. 30 cents, or is it going to be, I'm not even going to make a prediction because my prediction would probably blow your mind. All right, let me stop sharing that. I guess, Max, if people wanted to read that document, they could go
It'll be
to
up soon.
they could go to t.me/Epic Cash and request it. And would you send a link in there?
It's up in the it's bouncing around the Telegram channels. You showed the draft. Just that's the raw content without any of the formatting and editing, and I'm sure there's typos and stuff there. That document that you're seeing has the fingerprints of dozens upon dozens of people on it, and is a good example of our collaborative process. So it's a bit raw. If that won't be held against us, then sure. Also, there's a few final tweaks. So whenever you see any numbers in there, it might be an older version. So until we put out the final official version and scream it from the rooftops, assume that it's more of just a directional sneak peek of what is in that stage of gestation rather than a formal commitment. But yeah, we've been working hard for a long time. This is the culmination of it's not the what's that great phrase? This is the end of the beginning. I think it is. It's like we've earned the right, I think, to start.
Yeah, the end of the beginning. And
yeah,
what a great journey it is. And
we're just getting started.
This is intended
as a signal. We're just getting started. We believe we've earned a right to enter the competition.
And I have one of my best buddies, my best buddy in the world, actually, Mike, who's listening in. He sent me a text, said he wanted to nominate having the founder of tradethechain.com on my show. So I don't know anything about that, but I'll look into it. But so I just wanted you to show a little leg, to talk about the exchange that you won't talk about. But
sure, sure, we can. A little bit of a tangent. We always face the challenge. Epic is not a security. We're not a corporation. Therefore, all of the stuff about material information, what's public, non-public, quiet periods, all that stuff, we eliminate a whole bunch of classes of headaches that other public companies and projects that are kind of like that, where they need to check everything through legal. But we try to have an open and neutral, like everybody has access to the same info at the same time kind of a process. And so technically we're not supposed to talk about it, but because many people from the community have been involved with the so-called hashtag SafeCEX thing that we've been doing for the past, 2 months or so, we finally got the right partner to respond to our call. It's called Bitmart, and they're officially Cayman headquarters, but I think most of their people, a lot are in New York, and I think they've got a strong China presence. We've done a thorough survey of the centralized exchange landscape and ended up with these guys as really the cream of the crop in terms of fit. They have invested in the right kind of licensing, which takes years and probably tens of millions of dollars. So what that means for us is that unlike almost every other platform out there, I know people in the privacy coin space like Trade Ogre, and it's always win TO. But the problem there is, the main problem is that without KYC, it's a target for regulators, and even if they're savvy operators that can make it work, it is subject to risk that one day Johnny Law comes knocking and you have a really bad day. In the case of Bitmart, they are going to be there tomorrow and next year and next quarter after that, because they're completely within the law. And what that enables them to offer to our users, aside from that assurance that their funds are as safe as they can be in any centralized type of context, they can offer US accounts, which is big. Our other options, our other best options, LA Token and Digifinex, both do not take USA citizens, so that's a big differentiator. They also have institutional accounts. For those of you that do S corps or advanced retirement planning type of stuff, you have a lot more flexibility in how you structure with this type of outfit.
Awesome.
Their mobile app is great. They have over 300 altcoin pairs. So if you have some random thing and want to swap it into Epic, it's right there. And then really fiat is enormous. If you want to send in euros and buy Epic, you'll be able to do that. And so
now, is it KYC though?
Yes. If you want to deal, here, the days of being able to do non-KYC transactions with centralized platforms on surveillance blockchains ended a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Binance was one of the last of the holdouts, and they used to do 2 BTC a day, no KYC. One day they woke up, people woke up and their limits without being verified went from 2 BTC a day down to 0.06. And then a couple of weeks later, they took that to 0. So there's some holdouts. KuCoin, you can still do it, but the trend is clear. The clock is ticking. People need to think about things not in terms of how many dollars per coin, but in terms of the basic ability to transact at all, because CBDC is coming, and if you have exceeded your carbon footprint this week, you will not be able to pay for the hamburger. That type of behavioral control is being baked in. And so an unrestricted form of money, I think, has an inherent value. Censorship resistance is really, if we look back in a year and say, it used to be 30 cents, now it's X something higher. Why did the world wake up to that value? I think a big part of that answer is that the ability to transfer value unmolested and bled to death with fees and needing permissions and fill out forms and jump through hoops, it's going to become so difficult to do business with these other methods. And here you've got a frictionless, easy option that gets more and more compelling by comparison. That's how I see it.
So am I correct when I say that Monero is sold on lots of exchanges out there that are KYC?
Yeah, I don't know the specific numbers offhand, but it's got to be 90+%. So,
okay, so I just wanted to, for all of you privacy fanatics out there who are listening to the cult of TCV, I'm just
learn about the travel rule and save yourself some headache later, because head in the sand and wishful thinking, oh, they're not going to be able to find me. No, come on, blockchain is forever. Monero is saving your information in the blockchain. And look at the case of Roman Sterlingov in Sweden, who's in the prison cell for something he did on a BTC blockchain in 2011.
Yeah. So what I want you to reconcile for me now is it is now going to be way easier for people to buy Epic Cash, because they're going to be able to buy it on Bitmart. And there's a ton of, I don't know, you call them customers on Bitmart, but there's a ton
5 million.
5 million all of a sudden. So Epic Cash now becomes accessible to all 5 million of those. And, as we do a better job of continuing to be able to evangelize and spread the word and talk about the positive attributes of Epic Cash, you can now buy it, or you will be able to buy it on Bitmart very easily. And if you have I have an IRA LLC, so now I'm going to be able to connect that to Bitmart. So ultimately, if I need to be able to take my Epic Cash, well, shoot, I'm going to actually be able to take a loan for myself. Forget about that. But what I want you to reconcile for me is, I buy the coins, like right now on VDEX exchange, right? I would instead be buying them on Bitmart if I so choose. And then, like any exchange, I'll be able to get them into my offline wallet. Now, after that point, when I have it in my wallet, do I have this right for the privacy side of us, that any transaction at that point in time is going to be invisible, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the only time then to where the surveillance folks are going to be involved is if I ultimately put those coins back on Bitmart or another exchange, maybe later down the line, and I off-ramp it as fiat into one of my accounts. And I know you're working on, and it's brilliant, you're never going to have to do that. EUSD, learn about it, study it. But let's just say other coins, right, that may not have an EUSD vision, when it goes down into fiat, then that is reported because it's all KYC, right? You're going to get a 1099 for that, correct?
Well, first of all, I mean, I'm a U.S. person. I live in the U.S. I fill out inches thick. I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration. Centimeters thick forms every year, and lots of money with a begrudging smile. So compliance, that's where I stand on that. But the topic of what are you required to do, what is asked of you, what will be taken from you, I think that the focus on number one, that privacy equals criminal, is simply, number one, it's incorrect based on the data. Number two, it obscures the important things around privacy. And on this topic, people assume that if you don't want your KYC information and you don't want financial surveillance applied to you, in this case by your brokerage, Bitmart, I think is one of the good ones, but there's a lot of shady operators out there that soak you with fees and trap your assets and all kinds of unsavory tactics. And so going into a high risk environment where all bets are off in terms of what are the rules of the road going to be in 3 years, I don't know. But in the United States, they're talking about a special 80% tax capital gains rate that applies to crypto for this year. Great, you made some wealth. Thank you. We're going to take $4 out of $5 because it's crypto. If you make that in pharmaceuticals, you're good to go. You make it in crypto, we're going to tax you this way. I think it's just about certainty of what you can expect. Free open source software that is nakedly about your best interests as a user, and has no conflicts and compromises of trying to satisfy the corporate demands of making a profit, satisfy the interests of those individuals working in those organizations, the national governments and central banks and their treasuries. Going into the CBDC world, I think what we're going to see is, let's say you have a supplier in US and you're in Mexico, or vice versa. When that money goes across border, well, you've exceeded your currency quota for this week. You got to wait till next week. You get gray markets in conversion points, like they used to have the dollar blue in Argentina or South Africa. You basically pool your capital and then wait until the central bank opens up fiat for that week, and then the floodgates open. There's a lot of like friction that is brought in when these barriers and restrictions are put up. So it's not just about the forms and the compliance. It's about, well, ignorance of the law is no excuse as far as if you've violated something. And when the rules are so complicated and they're changing, you may inadvertently violate something without even knowing it. The rate of change of how fast laws and regulations and tax codes are changing is beyond the ability of even people in the field who are specialists to understand. So how can we as lay people understand, and it takes time to absorb all that stuff. And so if you can design for simplicity in your life, if you can design for less risk, then you're going to have a happier time with it.
Okay. Well, I want to just share one more time this page and direct people to epicenter.epic.tech. First, go to epic.tech, but just study this because this is where it's all at. And I'm sorry, I lost my mouse here, so I can't even stop the screen share. Okay, there, I found it. Sorry, guys, a little tech difficulty here. So anyway, if you go here, and each one of these you can click and just learn more, just start to understand it. And as this starts to resonate, like a good soup, all of a sudden the aroma starts to come and you just start getting it. And then you're just going to be like, whoa, okay, it's all coming together now. So we're putting in the ingredients every week for you, and it is up to you to be the chef. So you have to turn the heat on, and you do have to do your own work, which is just go in and start learning about this and studying it. But Max, I tell you what, I'm super excited about this. And I know next Friday is going to be another big one, a real big one, next Friday at noon, ish. We got to throw the ish in there.
We keep for me, like just looking back over our notes from the prior weeks, we keep accumulating more things that we want to talk about than we have time for, and they keep accumulating. And it's like people just kind of miss, like there'll be some message in the channel or channels, and it won't even register. So like
I have this many topics to talk about today, and we got to two. So but we are gonna keep it to where this is bite size. So we're not gonna go hours. So I want to wrap things up. But is there anything you want to share before we wish everyone a happy, long, extended holiday weekend, at least here in the USA?
Yeah, get involved. We're actively distributing ECR tokens out to contributors through the grant programs that we're developing. So if you have contributed in the past and want to do more, if you are new to the project and want to get more involved, if you want to understand how you can add some of your energy to be a force multiplier to help your money go further, then jump in. The Telegram groups are the best place. There's a lot of friendly people, and just education is the best thing, the best investment that you can make. We got a lot of quality content up already, and we'll continue to. But the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And it would be great if people would, start sooner on their path to prosperity. There's a lot of value that's been created already, but we're just getting started. It's not too late, and even at a small scale, you'd be amazed what's possible in crypto. So now is the time.
Now is the time. Market caps little under $5 million. A year from now, I'm coming back to this video. I'm going to cut it out. We're going to talk about what the price is then and what the market cap is in. And I think on that, just after the 3rd birthday, there's going to be a lot of us that are going to be sitting around saying, you know what, I'm glad I drank the Kool-Aid just not long ago, a year ago. So, all right, guys.
You know what they say, the first trillion is always the hardest.
I found that out many, many times. Yeah, right. Okay. Hey, thanks, Max. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Happy Labor Day this weekend. Go celebrate it with the family and go